Hey, this is Bill Walsh with the GBN Network. We're very excited today. Another incredible episode, inspiring, empowering entrepreneurs. I've got a rock star entrepreneur today. She's not only a syndicated real estate investor, she's a doctor, she's a boss, she's a mom, she's an amazing wife, amazing family person. But today, we're going to talk about the future of business when it comes to real estate syndication. Dr. Katie Lee, how are you?
Hi, Bill.
Man, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know your schedule's crazy. You just flew in for a little bit of time today, speak at a couple events, and be a part of this show. Could you share with our audience a bit of your story? And I want to talk about your philanthropic work too, but we'll kind of save some of that to the end.
Of course, of course. Well, I'm a very proud daughter of immigrant parents from Vietnam. They came over here to seek a better life and to open doors of opportunity for my sisters and I for the American dream. Yeah. My mom always pushed us really hard in education because we endured a lot of hardships growing up. So I made sure I studied hard. I graduated with my doctorates at 26.
Wow.
And where I had this whole vision and future planned out for myself, right? Life took a very unexpected turn. My husband and I were involved in a very terrible accident that left my husband fighting for his life.
Wow.
And the recovery process was just a very long and dark road for us. And it seemed almost impossible getting out of this dark place. But we knew we wanted to rebuild. So we packed our life up in boxes one day. We made the move to San Antonio to be closer to family for support. And we made a bold move in investing all of our money into opening a seafood restaurant without any prior experience.
Wow.
And we worked tirelessly, putting in 80 to 100-hour work weeks, no days off, right? And, slowly our restaurant started to flourish and our hard work started to pay off. And we were then able to expand to a chain of 8 now all over San Antonio.
Wow.
Yes. And after reaching a point of financial success, we knew we wanted to buy back our time for what's most important to us, which is our kids and our family, right? Yeah. So this is what channeled us into multifamily real estate, where we were able to see the passive wealth, we were able to see the stabilized returns, and we were able to gain that time freedom for our family. So not only that, but we were able to help so many families from all walks of life, from business owners, teachers, CEOs, professionals.
Wow.
So now our main wheelhouse is High Level Capital Group. We are a real estate investment firm. We help busy professionals make their money work for them through real estate investments.
So with all the things you've got going on, and this is the question I get a lot of times, where you're super mom, super wife, super boss, how do you balance all that stuff? How do you make all that stuff work?
That is a great question. And I think that everything depends on the person at the top, right? So the main person that's doing everything, which is myself.
Yeah.
I have to prioritize myself before everything else, because if I'm not 100, how am I able to give 100 to everyone else and everything that I do? Of course, the most important thing I do that surpasses everything is being a full-time mom to my 2 daughters and a full-time wife. And I take that, position with pride. So basically prioritizing self-care is the most important thing. Yeah. Make sure I put that time out to basically make sure that I am 100% mentally and physically. I'm very aware of healthy eating habits.
Yeah.
I'm a big fitness person. I make sure I carve that time out to work out 4 times a week. And with my busy schedule, I make sure that I can fit that in, because that's like my therapy for myself. Yeah. And with just 1 hour of me time in the gym, lifting or doing cardio, so much energy and so much, that can happen within that 1 hour for myself. After that, I feel like I can take on the world.
So another question I've got for you is, and this is a question I get a lot, is that there's real estate investors, there's multifamily, there's single family, there's so many different things. You can invest in strip malls. What does it mean to be a real estate syndicator? What does that actually mean?
So a real estate syndicator is basically the people who vet the deals.
Yep.
And when you talk about vetting the deals, it takes a lot of due diligence to be able to vet and source these deals. Not only that, but you need the connections to the brokers and to all of these different sources so you can get those prime off-market deals, right? Because those are the ones you really want, and those are the ones with the prime numbers. So it definitely takes a lot of due diligence on our part, underwriting. And once we source the deals, basically a syndicator's job after that is to raise capital for the deal, right? Basically, we group investors, capital and resources together to buy these big institutional assets.
And so when you do these big deals, you have general partners and limited partners. How long is the investor normally in the deal with you?
So with our whole business strategy, we have a value add strategy, right? What we usually do is when we source these deals, we go in there and we add value, we cut costs, we increase the NOI, right? And then after repositioning and stabilizing this large asset, when we are able to meet our numbers and meet the, equity, and basically meet those numbers, and this can be anywhere between 3 to 5 years, which is the hold period. And once we do meet those numbers, that is when we exit.
Wow. So every deal you do, you start with the end in mind. So you start with planning an exit. I think most business owners never have an exit. They'll start a business and they treat it more like a hobby. And so if someone's a limited partner with you, do they have to be an accredited investor? Do they have to have $1 million to invest? What are some of the numbers for that?
Well, each deal is different. There are some deals that we solely only deal with accredited investors, and there are other deals which are regulated 506B offerings, which we can be able to refer out to our investor database where you do not have to be accredited investors to do that. But you do have to be a quality investor, right? So to answer your question, you said that going into these deals with a passive investor, if you are a passive investor, you are solely that. You're basically leveraging an experienced team to do the work for you, one with the expertise and one with the track record that can execute these business plans for you.
How do you recommend that people do due diligence on these deals? So I'm sure that as an accredited investor, you get it probably as well, but let's say that other people are getting these things or they're part of these different clubs or networks. What would you recommend are things they can do to look at to make sure, is this a good deal for them?
So I always recommend everyone that are going into deals to do their own due diligence, right? Yes, you are investing with partners that have professional due diligence team to overlook all of their paperwork. And we also do our own underwriting along with the third party. But also you need to understand the model yourselves and run your own numbers. And this is why we go around and educate people about syndication and about multifamily real estate. Because ultimately your investment is your future and you need to understand what you're investing your money into, right? You need to understand how these numbers work. You need to understand how us as a team got to these numbers. But also you need to ask the hard and important questions to the people that you're investing with and make sure that they can answer those questions for you. So due diligence is a big part, and I feel like you need to invest your time to be able to do that, to understand how you're making your money work for you and not just trusting anyone blindly.
Well, I know now you're doing more speaking, more training. You're going to probably launch your own programs in the future. You got a new book coming out.
Yes.
Tell us about your new book quickly. We got a little bit of time.
Yes,
Tell us about the new book.
It is called Powerful Female Immigrants Who Inspire Greatness. I share my stories in there, from my setbacks to my triumphs to what I'm doing now.
How do they get the book?
So it is on Amazon. It's a #1 Amazon bestseller, and I'm super excited about it because 100% of the proceeds go to a nonprofit that helps child human trafficking victims in Asia.
So any last-minute words of wisdom you want to share with our group?
Yes, so I get asked this a lot, right? But I always tell people that it doesn't matter where you are in your journey, and if you feel that you need to be an expert at your craft before you scale your business or you take the next step in life, what you have to do is reach deep inside you and understand your inner strengths and really dive deep into that and use that to leverage yourself to the next level. You don't have to be the expert, right?
That's right.
But you can, you might not be the most knowledgeable versus your competitor. What you can do is you can outwork them, right? You can use your strengths to be better, to propel yourself forward.
So if somebody wants to find you online, where do they go?
You can find me on my website, which is www.highlevelcapital.com.
Boom. Once again, Bill Walsh, GBN Network, always having rock stars. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Appreciate your time, your energy. See you guys in the next episode.